Hello students, welcome to English literature class. This is part 6 of the famous trial scene. I hope you have watched all the previous 5 videos, children. And please check the description every time so that if I have sent any notes that you can complete your workbook also. What did we do in the previous video, children? Yes, we had reached the climax. I had covered lines between 299 to 377 when Portia, we saw how Portia trapped Shylock when she first announces that the court sanctions and the law allows that he can take a pound of flesh, and when he's about to take a pound of flesh, okay, what had she done? She told him that in the process of cutting the pound of flesh, he should not spill even a single drop of blood, because the bond only mentioned an exact pound of flesh. If he spills even a single drop of blood, then all his wealth would be confiscated by the state of Venice. This is what she had told him, and she further continues and defeats Shylock with further legal technicalities by telling that he should cut the pound of flesh in such a way that the pound of weight should be so exact that it should not be lighter or heavier even by the 20th part of an insignificant grain, or the beam of the scales should not incline to one side, even more or less, even by the breadth of a hair. If he did that, then he would suffer the penalty of death, and all his possessions would be confiscated by the state. And then she tells him that when Shylock had realized that he couldn't do anything and he didn't want to stay and he wanted to go, that he would no longer question anything, Portia tells him, one minute, children. Portia tells him that I'm just recapitulating, summarizing line 360, children. And she had told him that the law had one more hold on him, that it according to the laws of Venice, if a foreigner or an alien tried to take the life of a Venetian directly or indirectly, and the person, if it is proved that he has directly or indirectly tried to take the life of a Venetian, then the person against whom he plotted would get half of his property and the other half would go to the state of Venice. And now she had also told him that he had brought upon himself the punishment which she had mentioned, because it is very obvious, very clear that he had tried to take the life of Antonio. So the only hope left for him and the person who plotted against the life of a Venetian, his life was in the hands of the Duke. So she tells him that she tells him to kneel down and beg mercy of the Duke, because he is the only one who could spare his life. And now let us see what happens, children. So what do we see? What do we see of Portia here, children? How nicely she defeated Shylock with legal technicalities, children. And also we see Portia's intellectual abilities clearly, particularly seen here. She considers herself perfectly justified in what she is doing. She gives her noble speech on mercy, which shows her earnest. She makes Shylock to commit himself in the court, that he will accept nothing but the penalty in the bond. She does not tell him anything of the law that she wants to invoke against him till he attempts to take his pound of flesh. She ignores the references to her youthful appearance so that no attention is drawn to her femininity. She guards against being recognized by Bassanio and Gratiano by paying very little attention to them until after the sentence is pronounced. Shall we proceed, children? Now let us see the reaction of the others. See, immediately you can see, I'm in page number 127, children. So when Portia announces that Shylock's life can be spared only by the Duke, and everything will be confiscated. Half will go to Antonio, the other half will go to the state of Venice, the treasury of Venice. Gratiano, children, page number 127, lines 378, children. Beg that thou mayest have leave to hang thyself, and yet thy wealth being forfeit to the state, thou hast not left the value of a coat. Therefore, thou must be hanged at the state's charge. See, now Gratian is jubilant. He's very happy, and now he further taunts. We have already seen in the previous video also, children, previous pages, what did we see? How Gratiano, when he gets an opportunity, he tries to insult and humiliate Shylock. And now when he hears that his life is at the mercy of the Duke, he tells that, beg that thou mayest have leave to hang thyself. Instead of begging the Duke to spare his life, what should he do instead? According to Gratiano, Shylock must plead that the Duke, instead of sparing his life, he should have permission to hang himself. So, and yet, then Gratiano realizes that, and yet thy wealth being forfeit to the state, because all his possessions will now be forfeited by the government. Thou hast not left the value of the court. 380 lines. You do not even have the means even to buy a robe, because now everything from that moment, all his property, wealth, possessions, whatever he had will now be confiscated by the state. So now he won't even have the money to buy the robe. Therefore, thou must be hanged at the state's charge. See, he's telling, you're left to such a state now that you must be hanged at the expense of the state. You cannot die on your own also. You cannot hang yourself to death because you don't have the resources even to buy the robe. So now Gratiano will not leave any opportunity to insult Shylock. Let us see what the Duke has to say, children. I'm in page number 128. Thou shalt see the difference of our spirit. I pardon thy life before thou ask it. For half thy wealth, it is Antonio's. The other half comes to the general state, which humbleness may drive into fine. So what does the Duke do now, children? Even before Shylock can beg mercy to spare his life, to appeal to the Duke tells, you shall see the difference of our spirits. I pardon thee thy life. He tells, before even Shylock can appeal to him to show mercy, to spare his life, the Duke declares, I pardon thee thy life. I forgive your life. I spare your life because before you ask it. Why does the Duke want to do this? To show the difference of our spirits. He wants to show the difference between Shylock's disposition and his disposition. To show the difference between Shylock's nature and the Christian's nature, the Duke's nature. And he tells now declares that half of the wealth of Shylock belongs to Antonio, and the other, according to this law now the other half goes to the general treasury for the general use of the state, which humbleness may drive unto a fine. But the Duke tells him, but if you show humility, this may be reduced to a fine. So the Duke wants to show how charitable the Christians are and how different they are from the Jews. But Portia immediately, what does she do? I, for the state and not for Antonio. She makes it very clear here, children. Come to line 387. Yes, from the half that belongs to the state and not from that of Antonio. He cannot do anything from the share of Antonio. She makes it very clear. Shylock, nay, take my life and all. Pardon not that. You take my house when you do take the prop. That that doth sustain my house. You take my life when you take the means whereby I live. Please go through the meanings, children, all of you. So what does Shylock tell? Why are they sparing his life when they have taken everything, his possession, wealth, everything has been confiscated? Why do you spare my life? Take my life also. Don't forgive that, pardon not that, don't spare his life. They not to pardon his life. You take my house. When you do, take the prop that sustain my house. So just what happens to your house, children? Prop means pillar. When the pillar is taken away, what happens to the house? The house collapses. In the same way, you take my life. When you do take the means whereby I live. He exclaims that there is no point in pardoning his life if the pillar that sustains it is taken away. They are taking away the very means by which he lives. What is there left for him to live now? Everything is being confiscated. The very means of his livelihood, his money lending business, everything is being taken away. So why spare my life when you take the means whereby I live? So he tells, because they are taking the very means of his substances. Portia, what mercy can you render him, Antonio? Now Portia wants to know what forgiveness that Antonio is ready to show to Shylock. Render, give. Now Graciano is worried because he knows Antonio is such a generous person, and he can't believe that Portia has asked him what mercy the Antonio can show to Shylock. Before Antonio can tell something, what does he tell? A halter gratis. Nothing else. For God's sake, he's worried that Antonio might spare Shylock. So instead, what should what should Antonio do? He should be given a halter gratis. What do you mean by halter gratis, children? Come to 393A. A rope to hang himself with. That should be given free of charge. Please don't show him any mercy. The only mercy that can be shown to Shylock is that he should be given a rope to hang himself, the two free of charge. For God's sake, don't show any more mercy. The only mercy is that. Antonio. Children, this has come in the board exam. Please focus. So please, my lord, the duke and all the court, to quit the fine for 1/2 of his goods, I am content. So he will let me have the other half in use, to render it upon his death unto the gentleman that lately stole his daughter. 2 things provided more, that for this favor he presently become a Christian, the other half that he do record a gift here in the court of all he dies possessed unto his son Lorenzo and his daughter. So what forgiveness does Antonio want to show before? So please, my lord, the duke and all the court, to quit the fine for one of his goods, I am content. Please come to line meaning 394, children. So he tells, if it pleases my lord the duke, if it pleases the duke and all the members of the court, to quit the fine, to be satisfied with fine for instead of one of his goods, I am content. He is happy. He is satisfied. If the duke wants to reduce it to a fine instead of half of the goods, if the duke is happy, he is also happy with it. So he will let me have. If he let me have the other half of in use, because now half of Shylock's wealth will go to Antonio. So he tells, if Shylock gives him half of the wealth, what will he do? To render it, to give it upon his death unto the gentleman that lately stole his daughter. So whatever share he gets from Shylock, Antonio will not use it personally. He will not have personal use of that wealth. What does he tell? He will not use it. He will keep it, and after Shylock's death, he will give to the gentleman, that is Lorenzo, that lately stole his daughter, that lately eloped with his daughter, married his daughter Jessica. He will not use it. He will give it to Lorenzo. And now another blow to Shylock. 2 things provided more. There are 2 more conditions to be fulfilled, he tells, and that for this favor, in return for this favor, he presently become a Christian. This is the greatest blow that Shylock had least expected. He hated the Christians. That's why he wanted to take revenge against Antonio. But now, what has Antonio done? That Shylock should become a Christian. It is a death knell to Shylock. The other that he do, the second condition is that he do record a gift. Here in the court. He draw up a legal document called a deed of gift for the assignment of property, that all he dies possessed, that all he owns when he dies should go to his son Lorenzo and his daughter. Shylock is broken-hearted. He's shell-shocked. He can't believe that Antonio is imposing these two conditions on him. He took pride in the fact that he was a Jew. He took pride in his Jewish religion, but now his dignity is stripped. He is shell-shocked, children. Then let us find what the Duke has to say. See what he's in such a, now Shylock is reduced to such a pitiable state, children. The Duke immediately tells, when Antonio gives him two conditions, when Antonio tells that Shylock should fulfill these two conditions, the Duke immediately tells, he shall do this or I do recant the pardon that I late pronounced here. Immediately the Duke tells that he has to fulfill the the two conditions imposed by Antonio. Otherwise, he will withdraw the pardon that he had just now pronounced. Pardon means, yes, he had pardoned his life, and he had also agreed to not to take half of his goods which should come to the state treasury, that he will reduce it to a fine. Now he tells that he has to agree, otherwise he will withdraw that pardon. Portia asks Shylock, are you contented, Jew? What dost thou say? Now she wants to know what Shylock is feeling, whether he's happy, satisfied, if he has anything to say. I am content. So Shylock movingly tells that he is content. What else can he tell children? Then Portia immediately sees that Shylock has agreed. So what does she tell the clerk? Who is the clerk here, children? Nerissa. Clerk, draw a deed of gift. Immediately she asks the clerk to draw a deed of gift. Shylock, I pray you, give me leave to go from hence. I'm not well. Send the deed after me, and I will sign it. Shylock doesn't want to stay here anymore, to be humiliated anymore. So he requests that he should be given leave, permission to go from hence means from here. He wants to go from their children, and he tells that he's not feeling well. Send the deed after me, because he cannot wait until the clerk draws the deed of gift. Send the deed after me, and I will sign it. He promises that he will sign it. Yes, the Duke also tells, get thee gone, but do it. You may go, but do not neglect to sign it. So the Duke is warning him that he should see to it that he fulfills the promise, that he is going to sign it. So please, children, see how Shylock is reduced to such a pitiable state, children. At the opening of the trial scene, his tone and language with reference to Antonio full of arrogance when he says he cannot abide him. His tone is self-righteous when he says, what judgment shall I fear, doing no wrong? And he is very enthusiastic and satisfied when Portia holds his case. But now Shylock, the minute when Portia turns the table against him, Shylock's obsession with revenge breaks down. Only when his intention to kill Antonio is thwarted and utter destitution threatens him, his sense of reality returns. He is deprived of almost all his property, of his religion, and of his daughter. So Shylock's fall is truly pathetic. We feel sorry for him in spite of his horrible inhumanity. But we should realize that he brought this upon himself. He insisted the letter of the law and is defeated by the letter of the law. We cannot excuse his conduct of heartless cruelty at all. Next, let's see how Gratiano has to react. In questioning, shalt thou have 2 godfathers? Had I been judge, thou shouldst have had 10 more to bring thee to the gallows, not to the font. Children, go through the meaning here. What do you mean by godfather? Please come in questioning. Please come to the meaning of 414 in the textbook, children. So, according to the meaning here is, when a man is admitted to the Christian faith by baptism with water, he has 2 godfathers who are responsible to see that he, that is the baptized man, grows up as a good Christian. So now, according to Gratiano, now since Shylock is to be Christian, since he's going to be a Christian now, he will have 2 godfathers. Then in questioning, thou shalt thou have 2 godfathers. So now he will have 2 godfathers. But then he adds this sentence, had I been judge, thou shouldst have 10 more to bring thee to the gallows, not to the font. So please come to the reference in the textbook, children. Godfathers was also a funny name for the members of a jury, a body of 12 men who were needed to pass a sentence on a criminal. It is alluded here that the jury of 12 would have condemned Shylock to death. So what is now Gratiano telling? If he were the judge who would pronounce the sentence, Shylock should have had a jury of 12 men who would sentence him to be hanged on the gallows instead of being baptized at the font. So what is a font, children? Font, it's a bowl on a raised platform containing holy water for the ceremony of baptism. So Shylock exits. See, children, he makes a sad exit with the crowd howling at him at the door of the court. Gratiano jeering him. So he makes a sad exit. Now the Duke, now that the case has been decided in their favor, the Duke is very happy that Antonio is saved. So now he turns to Portia, who is disguised as a lawyer. Sir, I'd entreat you home with me to dinner. What does entreat mean, children? Invite. Yes, the Duke wants to invite the lawyer who helped save the life of Antonio from the cruel clutches of Shylock. But Portia, what does Portia do? I humbly do desire your grace of pardon. I must away this night toward Padua, and it is meet I presently set forth. Please remember, children, she cannot rest here on her laurels. She has to immediately return to Belmont, because she knows that Bassanio will be returning immediately, because he had made a promise that as soon as his work is over in Venice, he would return immediately. He would not take any rest also. That's why she addresses the Duke to forgive her. She asks for his forgiveness. I humbly do desire your grace. Ask your grace for forgiveness, for pardon, because I must away this night toward Padua, because now she's in the letter it has been mentioned that she has come from Padua. That's why she tells that she has to return to Padua. And it is meet I presently set forth, and it is quite necessary that she start the journey immediately before Bassanio returns to Belmont. Please, children, it's an honor for her that the Duke has invited. It's a privilege, but she cannot accept that dinner invitation. So the Duke, I'm sorry that your leisure serves you not. He regrets that she doesn't have the time to spare to have dinner with him. So in return, so what does he do? He turns to Antonio and tells him, gratify this gentleman, reward this gentleman. That is Portia disguised as the lawyer. For in my mind, you are much bound to him. According to the Duke, Antonio, he is indebted to Portia, disguised as a lawyer, for his life. He is alive now because of Portia. Telling this, the Duke, Magnificos, and the train exuent. Children, train means the attendants of the Duke and members of the court, noblemen, the Duke, everyone exit from the scene. Bassanio at that point, most worthy gentlemen, I and my friend have by your wisdom this day acquitted of grievous penalties, in lieu whereof 3,000 ducats due unto the Jew, we freely cope your courteous pain withal. So he addresses Portia, dressed as the lawyer, dressed as a lawyer. He acknowledges, tells that day he and his friend Antonio have been relieved, have been acquitted means relieved. They have been delivered from the most terrible position that day because of her skill and determination. Grievous penalty, severe, serious danger from punishment. They have been saved, acquitted, relieved by her because of her wisdom. In lieu whereof 3,000 ducats unto the Jew. So now he tells her, in return for which, okay, the money that they were supposed to give to the Jew, 3,000 ducats. Now they most willingly, we freely cope, means he tells that very willingly now they want to give that money to Portia for the service render, for her kind trouble, for her kind service. They want to give it to her. Do you think Portia would accept it? But Antonio at that time tells, and stand indebted over and above in love and service to you evermore. Antonio says that they will always remain indebted to her and above all in love and service to her, because he owes his life to her. But Portia tells, he is well paid that is well satisfied, and I delivering you am satisfied, and therein do account myself well paid. My mind was never yet more mercenary. I pray you know me when we meet again. I wish you well, and so I take my leave. Children, this, I have highlighted this. It's now often quoted, children, when people are satisfied with their work and they don't expect much in terms of monetary benefits. He is well paid that is well satisfied. So what does it mean? One who is well pleased with one's work is sufficiently rewarded. So what is Portia trying to tell her? Portia replies by telling that one who is well pleased with one's work is sufficiently rewarded. She is well pleased that she had been the means of liberating them from the power of the Jew, and she considers that a sufficient remuneration. She didn't want any remuneration. She never did it with the interest of money. She didn't want to be rewarded for that service. And she tells that my mind was never more mercenary. She was never interested in money. I pray you know me. Yes, when we meet, let us renew our acquaintance, friendship when we meet again. I wish you well. She wishes them well. And so I take my leave. She asks for permission to leave. So Portia, we already know she is very rich. She doesn't need any money, and she considers herself well paid because she is satisfied by saving Antonio. But Bassanio cannot leave her without rewarding her for saving his friend's life. Dear sir, of course I must attempt you further. Take some remembrance of us as a tribute, not as a fee. Grant me two things, I pray you, not to deny me and to pardon me. Now, Bassanio addresses Portia, who is disguised as a lawyer. Of course, he tells her he must force her to accept money as a token of gratitude. Take some remembrance of us as a tribute, not as a token of friendship, as a token of gratitude. She should take that money, not for saving, not as fees. And he requests her to grant him two things. What are those two things? I pray you, I request you not to deny me, not to refuse his offer, and to pardon me. She should forgive him for insisting that she should take something from him as a token of gratitude and friendship. Then Portia, okay, she realizes that he won't leave her. So she tells, you press me far, and therefore I will yield. to Antonio. Give me your gloves. I will wear them for your sake. To Bassanio. And for your love, I will take this ring from you. Do not draw back your hand. I will take no more. And you in love shall not deny me this. Portia now here, because Bassanio is urging her so much, so strongly. You press me far. Since you urge me so strongly, I cannot refuse. Therefore, I will yield. Therefore, I will give in to your request. Yes, I will take something from you, but not what he wants to give. To Antonio, she tells, give me your gloves. Yes, she sees Antonio's gloves, and she tells him to give that to her. I will wear them for your sake. As his, she tells him, for your sake, to acknowledge your politeness, she wants to take Antonio's gloves. And then she turns to Bassanio, and for your love, I will take this ring from you. The minute she tells that she wants the ring from him, Bassanio withdraws his hand. That's why she tells, do not draw back your hand. Why are you withdrawing your hand? I'll take no more. I don't want anything else. Just that ring. And you in love shall not deny me this. Yes, out of love and gratitude, you will not refuse me this offer. Can you imagine, children, what Bassanio might be thinking? How can he part from this ring, children, that was given to him by his wife at the time of wedding? Let us find out what Bassanio has to say in the next part, children. Children, what are you going in this video? What is important here? Yes, the conditions laid down by Antonio. The two conditions, and Shylock, how he was in the beginning and to what a pitiable state he is reduced at the end. Children, hope you have understood. See you in the next class.